Welcome back to Chamber of Horrors. I'm Mercy Hyde. Tonight's picture is a 2023 psychological thriller, Birth Rebirth. At first glance, this film is extremely weird and bizarre, but when I do these reviews, I always go back and watch films a second time for note-taking purposes, and what I saw was a really weird film, but a really good film as well. Now, this film deals with the subject matter of not being able to cope with death in a healthy manner, and there's some medical horror in here. So, if that's a subject not for you, I definitely would suggest sitting this one out. It is a very dark and morbid film, and I know some horror lovers just that's not for them. So, just a fair warning. So, let's get into the film, shall we? First off, what we're going to do is we're going to read the plot right off good old IMDb. A morgue technician successfully reanimates the body of a little girl, but to keep her breathing, she needs to harvest biological materials from pregnant women. When the girl's mother, a nurse, discovers her baby alive, they enter into a deal that forces them both down a dark path of no return. First off, let's take a moment to go over this plot. What a hefty and thick plot just reading that, right? But it draws you in as a viewer. It's nothing that's quickly slapped together like most films, you know, I would say 2011 to modern day is when they really started slapping things together. This one has a very deep, rich plot, and the thing is, it has a human element to it, so I have to say it was well casted as well. When watching this, it didn't feel like a movie. It felt like we were watching two women in real life mourning a severe loss in their life and not being able to cope with a dash of Frankenstein. It definitely has the medical horror in this, and that to me is one of the freakiest things because you never know if something weird like this could happen behind closed doors in real life, especially with all the weird technological advances that we have. Who knows? Who knows who's really out here playing Dr. Frankenstein? So, because of this horror has a very strong human element, like as I said before, and because of this, it can literally pull you in as a viewer and get you in the emotions and your thoughts. Kind of like when you read a book, right? It really draws you in there and you're really involved, right? Now, I apologize if I pronounce names wrong. I'm not really good with this, but here we go. Our nurse Celie, played by Judy Reyes, is a woman who lost her daughter and trying to navigate life after the loss. It obviously is a difficult situation, and she played this role really well without making it come across as overacted or fake. She goes to find out where her daughter's body was to make plans for the funeral and finds out that her daughter's body is missing. What a terrifying thought. When I saw that scene, my heart just sank because, like, all I could just picture, and this is what I'm talking about, they're really good at pulling you into these characters and, like, the way this film is written, it makes you want to put yourself in the position of these characters and really gets you thinking, what would I do in this situation? What's going on? Um, so she finds out that this weird doctor from the morgue, Rose, played by Marin Ireland, has taken her daughter's body back to her place and has reanimated her. Yeah, kind of a record skip moment here. What would have been your first reaction if this happened to you? I know for a fact I'd probably be pissed, not gonna lie. However, Celie instead was like, okay, my baby girl is back. I'm gonna move in with Rose so we could take turns taking care of her as we try to keep her alive and see how she progresses. Which to me is absolutely the weirdest reaction ever for me. It was so calm, cool, and collected of her once, like, the shock wore off. She was like, yep, okay, right into this, I guess you would say, mom mode, solution mode. She said, I'm just going to move in with Rose and we're just going to be around the clock checking this out. Um, so Rose was carrying a child to get the matter she needed because she was a match for Lila, Celie's daughter, to keep her alive. However, it got to the point where she could no longer do that. This is where the movie gets darker and creepy fast. So I'm going to try to review it as YouTube friendly as possible. I watched this full film on Hulu, so if you'd like to check it out for yourself and really see how dark and gritty this can get, please do so. Rose tells Celie how she's doing her mad scientist thing. She has a pet pig she reanimated as well. She tried to reanimate her mother but was unsuccessful, which is why she jumped at the chance to use Lila for science research. She has videotape recordings of all her time she tried to do this as video diaries. Rose is absolutely lost in her grief and shows zero remorse for the pregnant women she is preying on. Sometimes I often wonder how many screws loose some scientists and medical staff have to even think of doing this. Like, I don't know, maybe I could never do this. I could never do that to somebody. Um, but we'll get into that later because there's a part that ties into. So oh, right here. I feel bad for Lila through this whole film because while she's alive, she's not exactly living. She's just a shell of the little girl she used to be, and I found it absolutely selfish and cruel of our characters, Rose and Celie, for doing what they did. Um, this is what I was going to be talking about. Like, I don't think I could do this because while, yeah, I have people in my life that passed on and I miss them dearly, and sometimes the grief still comes up in my life, but I couldn't imagine playing mad scientist on them. I feel like that's very unhealthy, and like, like the character of Lila here, she's just a shell. She's alive, but she's not living. So, would I want to risk that? I think I would rather have the memories and the peaceful and the happy memories that I have than go through the trauma of trying to reanimate this person only to have them come back just a shell of who they used to be. I think that would like kill me more, don't you think? Um, there is this one scene that was very creepy, but it was really good creepy. Lila got loose and ran to the pig and started eating it. She killed it and ate it, and they had to continue to keep restraining her from that point on. So, like, she kind of slowly started to do things, but again, still just a shell of what this little girl used to be. Now, Celie works as a nurse and she starts looking for matches for material so they could find ways to get the material. What do? They lie on the medical charts of pregnant women and basically tell them that they need all these procedures when they don't really need them. There's a new fear we don't need unlocked. She finds a match in a woman named Emily, who she befriends at all the appointments, which is so. Ugh! Oh my god! These characters are just. Ugh! I mean, I could not imagine being able to do this. I wouldn't be able to. I would not be able to do this. So she befriends her at all the appointments. Emily is really happy and even compliments Celie because she was nervous this whole time. She's even giving her hugs and thanking her for making her feel comfortable during this because she was nervous. Her and her husband were both nervous. It was their first time doing this. It's been several tries, all that good stuff. Unbeknownst to Emily, Celie was harvesting material from her at every visit just to keep her baby girl alive. At one appointment, Emily states that she's going to switch hospitals because the one in a city has better accommodations for her. And this makes Celie really nervous because they haven't found someone else to be a match for her daughter and they're running out of stuff to keep her daughter alive. In a panic, she decides to go over to Emily's house under the guise of giving her her medical files from their hospital in person. She tells Emily that sometimes the hospital isn't fast enough to push records through, and she didn't want any complications from when she switches hospitals, so she thought she would just hand deliver. Of course, Emily invites her in for a cup of tea, and Celia goes in. Celia takes over making the tea and slips something into Emily's drink. This causes Emily on the floor fall to the floor in convulsions. When we see her giving birth to her baby, she unfortunately lost her life. It got to the point where they were running low on materia, and Lila dies again. Rose comes home to find the apartment silent, and she looks around to find that Celie has put Lila in the freezer to preserve her and left her a note that she was going to get them more material. The movie closes there, leaving it open-ended, but in a good, weird way. How long did they get away with this? Did it eventually work? Man, so many questions, yet what a wonderful ending. It is such a creepy medical horror. I think they call it gynecological horror, but I call it just medical horror because this is just, like this could happen in any any section of medical issues that you're going on. How many of us are unknowingly being guinea pigs to the medical system? And that's a creepy thought to come into your head when watching this film, which is why I say this is so well done, because the situation could be a realistic thing, especially with all the technological advances today. Let's be real here. Scientists can be weird folks, and some of them don't really, because they want to search for the answers and all this stuff, they lack the empathy there. They're not realizing, like, these women in their grief were harming these pregnant ladies. They were lying to these pregnant ladies. They were causing things that shouldn't be happening to these women to happen. It's very selfish and cruel, and you have to be so lost in your mind and in grief to even think of doing these things. And it's so weird because at the beginning of the film you feel for Celie, and then when you see how quickly, like, it just took nothing for her character to change and go on this weird bandwagon. So this is a horror that could hit home, and you start putting yourself in the position of each character. What would you do? And this allows you to really soak in what's going on. And due to the hefty nature of this film, it does take a moment to sit with you once it's completed, which means a film well done. I give this 2023 flick an 8 out of 10 dirt potatoes, which is very rare for a modern film, if I do say so myself. The twists and turns and following the story of each woman keeps your attention through the whole film. Have you checked out this film? Let me know in the comments down below. What film should we discuss next? And don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you to all my channel donors, and for those that have joined the membership, you are keeping us going. Until next time, my friends, goodbye.